Hi, and thank you so much for joining in. I have Maher here, all the way from France. Hello, and thank
Hi,
you
how
so
are
much
you?
for coming. Good, things are good here. So it's about almost lunchtime here in Montreal. I know that for you, it's about the evening, about the end of your day. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us. So we're so happy to have you. So we actually met a few weeks ago at this investors kind of roundtable event. And it was really interesting, his experiences, not only in corporate venture, but also in cryptocurrency, and just kind of extensively backing a lot of different startups in a lot of various different ways. So I know that you have moved between several big companies that are huge supporters in the startup world, SAP being one of them, and GE being another one. And so just wanted to understand the experiences right now. How is the corporate venture structure and the corporate venture arm kind of being affected by this situation? And how do you kind of see that moving into the future there?
Thank you. The investment has a lot of challenges these days because the one thing the investors hate is the uncertainty. So
Mhm.
the more they can predict what the future is, the more they can predict, exactly what would happen, how the market will evolve, in the different sectors where they're investing, the more they can put the business case and say, like, this is the way forward. Now, you will find always investors who can take a lot of risk, but this is like playing lotto, actually. So the corporate ventures, in general, when the corporates have short-term priorities, problem of cash, problem of improving the P&L profitability, it's seen that the corporate venturing is a mid to long-term investment. It's like global research centers. It's like the innovation teams in general. And in this case, you need really justify why you need to have and to go for an additional investment rather than growing the current portfolio of startups that you have already in your portfolio. So now you would find some CEOs of corporates that are thinking maybe half of their brain is short term, how to fix the P&L, how to fix the emergency that I have. And whatever happens, even if you have a crisis that never happened since 50 years, they can still in the other part of their brain, I would say 50% or let's say 30% of their brain, thinking, yes, I have to take the opportunity of these tough times, try to innovate, try to prepare, for example, my corporate to diversify in case something bad happens. And then I need to go for mergers and acquisitions now. I need to invest. I need to grow a new business. To give you an example, if Uber, for example, did not start the Uber Eats and a few other businesses beside the classical business with which they started, they would have been a much deeper pain, for example. So also the conglomerates that are focusing with a big business like aviation, for example, GE has aviation as it was the best business for years, orders for the next 4 years and so on. And now it became the sick child due to all what we have seen in the confinement and so on. So everyone, every CEO, whatever happens, don't panic. Think about tomorrow and think also about after tomorrow and after tomorrow. This is always the rule. Otherwise, you will be in a big mess one day.
So that is great advice to think about, not just the short term, but also the long term. So you mentioned having, almost everyone in their portfolio, all the investors actually probably have at least one or many sick children, as you called it. What would your advice be to kind of either manage that or kind of see how, for example, when you talked about Uber Eats, they have gone into more food delivery. They just purchased Grubhub. They had a huge acquisition in the public market very recently. So would either helping them in a certain financial way or kind of getting them to pivot and steer through this crisis, what kind of situation do you see more of them happening when all of these investors have these kinds of companies in a lot of pain?
Mm-hmm. So there are three things in businesses you can offer. One is the hardware. You manufacture a plane. Second is the services. So you manufacture a plane, a car, a plant, and then when it's finished, you offer services afterwards. And most of the time, the services is much more interesting and bringing more money than building the product. And then the third thing is the digitalization. And the digitalization is how you can strengthen the services to still reduce cost, bring more income, and create new business models. Okay. Now, there is a famous saying of Jeff Immelt, who was a CEO for GE for 15 years. And he said, if you go to bed as an industrial, you have to wake up as a software company. So which means every industrial should not only think about building services business, but also digital business. So if you are as a child and you have problems, for example, on your traditional business, you can still figure out, imagine, new fast-growing businesses around digitalization where the market capitalization for that business could have fantastic multipliers between the profitability that you do and the value of that business, which could be 7 times, 10 times, 12 times, even sometimes 20 times.
Mm-hmm. And that is great. And so for startups or or mid-stage companies that are interested in joining corporate venture versus private equity versus another source of funding, do you see any differences that our current environment has made in one route or the other in terms of financial support or startup support?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing the startup should think about is, would the CEO or the founder himself or herself invest in his company if it's his own money? Okay, so that will help a bit shaping the business case differently. Second is the business case a nice to have or a must have? If it's a nice to have, they can make some money. The business maybe can run, but some profits maybe. Okay, a must have, you don't need to do all the effort to convince customers who don't need something that they need it absolutely. So you have to think about that pain point. And then you have the two options. Corporate ventures have a long cycle of decision. Okay, you go somewhere, you talk to someone, it goes to somebody else, then it goes to another one, and then it comes to the same. You are in a labyrinth of I don't know which cave or whatever when you go to a corporate venture, because they have other priorities, because they are big and complex organizations and matrix organizations. Mm-hmm. So if you have the patience to do it, yes, you could do it. You should probably do it, because it could end up, worst case, in a partnership maybe. And you say, I'm working with this corporate. In the same time, go and work with VCs. Now in the VCs, you have some of them who are very conservative, like a city-based VC, for instance, could be conservative, and others who are less conservative. And I would say the more you talk with the specialist, the less you will spend time into explaining your point, explaining your business case, and getting a decision.
That is great advice. Thank you so much for sharing. And so now we're going to play a little game. So before our interview call, we were testing out the Hey Google app. So what we're going to do is we're going to have keywords that we're going to pick, and we're going to try and get Google to say this word out loud. So it's a game called Hey Robot. So for example, we're going to have actually words that are related to French culture and France, because you are in France. And I actually used to live there for my master's degree too. So hopefully I can remember a lot of these words. But just so you know, we can't say the word, okay? Whatever the taboo word is, we're gonna have to describe it or ask a question to the robot, and then just get the robot to say it. See if it works. See if he understands what we're trying to say. All right, so I'll go first and then you'll go. Sounds good? Okay, so our first word is croissant. Hey Google, what is the name of a French pastry made out of butter?
Got it. I've got a recipe called Queen of Man from Tasting Table. Does that sound good?
No, that is the wrong one. Okay, what would your question be to make him say it?
Hey Google, what is the French pastry you would eat at breakfast and it looks like the moon?
On the website lemanhattanbistro.net, they say a croissant is a buttery and flaky pastry.
Wow, fantastic!
So the next word is wine.
Okay. Hey, Google, what is this drink which looks red?
Sorry, I don't have any information about that.
I think Google thinks that you're like holding a red bottle next to him. like he's like, what is this? I just got this from the store. What is it? Hey, Google, what is a Cabernet?
According to Wikipedia, Cabernet Sauvignon is one of the world's most widely recognized red wine grape varieties. It is grown in nearly every major wine-producing country among a diverse spectrum of climates from Canada's Okanagan Valley to
Hey,
Lebanon's
Google, stop. All right, so that was Hey Robot. So we each won 1 point. So good job. And that was really fun. I actually that was my first time playing like, you know, the full thing. I could just keep going on and on like that until I run out of French words. So please tell us about one project that you're very excited about or something that you're working on.
Okay, so I'm a board member and the chair of the governing board of an international organization called REAP. REAP stands for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Partnership. It's based at the UN building in Vienna, and REAP has the objective to provide low carbon energy access to lower income countries in the world.
Wow.
So REAP has, for example, a project which is in sub-Saharan Africa supported by the Swedish Development Fund, which has the responsibility to provide access to 5 million people who do not have electricity networks at all. So these people will get 2 solar panels, they get a battery, they get connected, they start paying as they go, and they can order that service via their phone. And then we collect the data from these people, we put it on a digital platform on the cloud called Edison, and that digital cloud platform reports on how many people are connected, what's the power, how many jobs were created, what is the gender of the people who ordered the service, how many schools get connected. So today this project is called Beyond the Grid for Africa. Zambia has already 1 million people who get access to energy.
Wow, that is amazing. When did this organization got founded?
So REAP was founded 20 years ago. We have about 360 members. All these organizations, known famous organizations who are interested in sustainability, in green finance, in investments, and so on. And this project I'm talking about is a 60 million project funded by the Swedish. And this is one of the largest energy access projects on Earth. And there was 2 awards that REAP got for this project. One Ashton Award in the UK, and the second one is at the COP25, which is this Climate Big United Nations conference taking place in Madrid last year. And we were on stage to get an award for that project.
Oh, fantastic. So
to make you happy, we were in the same category, which is called the new financial models. Okay. And the second one who got the award was the Minister of Energy of Quebec.
Oh. So thank you so much for sharing. And for those of you who want to get involved with this project or can feel like you have a great partnership, collaboration, or opportunity, please feel free to reach out.
One more thing to mention, REAP is also supporting a program, execution of a program called PFAN, Private Financing Advisory Network.
Okay.
It's supported by the UNIDO, and the job of the PFAN is to help the idea developers to shape their ideas with coaches that they could have a business plan that brings investors for investments. So they have like 300 business cases and entrepreneurs every year who submit their ideas. And there is a number of them who got selected, the winners, to bring then investors and invest in their projects.
Oh, so this is a great opportunity also for impact investment as well. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you.